It was the opposite for me.
Dang it. So okay, so Todd's on and Sharon and Brian and us. We got enough.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, I think Patricia was a little late last year.
yes. Oh, I remember.
Because we were joking around and then you said, we voted you or whatever, chair, and she said, I heard you. No, you didn't. Okay,
Should we just do it, guys?
sure. I mean, there's 5 of you here, so.
Okay. I'm going to call the meeting to order. All right, so we have Todd Taves.
Recorder, please.
Yep,
Okay.
got it on. Is here. Oh, we got one more. There she is. Come on in. I don't know everybody's name. Sharon Johnson,
Here.
David Betts,
Here.
Todd Taves,
I'm here.
Brian Cadlick,
Here.
Patricia
Meryl.
Merrill,
Your stuff over here, right here.
and Vicki College. Present, okay. I don't know when this was posted exactly, guys.
It was on Friday.
On Friday, okay. Number 1, appointments as necessary for chairperson. Does anybody want the chairperson job? For our once a year TID? No, we're all good? How about public member? Vicky said she'd do it again. Still, all right. Number 2, review of the annual PE 300 report and performance and status of tax incremental district number 1. Todd, you got anything to add?
Sure. You want me to give an overview of the
Sure,
report that was
please.
transmitted? I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on the screen. So this was disseminated with your packet, and I'll give a brief overview, and certainly feel free to jump in with questions as we go along. So this is, of course, the village's business park located just to the northeast of County Highway C and Highway 83. Originally a 2-parcel industrial district, was subsequently subdivided into various lots for manufacturing and business sites. This is the village's only active tax increment district. So this is really a TIF that has gotten to be a better news story each year that we talk about it. Originally created for the 2015 construction year. Initially, the park had one tenant, Vanco, that was constructed over the 2016 to 2017 timeframe right here. And then beginning in 2020, 3 different projects were undertaken by Zilber. First, the building for Advent Tool, secondly for Stabio, and then lastly for R&D Custom. Those buildings were partially valued as of 1/1/20. That's this 9.7 million increase in incremental value that you see here. And all 3 buildings either are or will be substantially complete in the current calendar year. So we're anticipating roughly another $7 million in value to hit the tax rolls as of January 1st, 2022. Normally manufacturing property, which is usually assessed by the state, will lose some value both initially and then over time. So to be very conservative, what we've done is assume that each of the 3 new buildings will lose roughly 10% of their value over the next 2 years. These are the negative numbers you see here. And then on an overall basis, we're applying a 0.5% depreciation factor to the entire value of the TID going forward. Again, we want to be conservative as we prepare the projections, so we are assuming some element of value loss. For the current budget year, the village collected $173,000. With that additional value that came online this year, we expect that to jump up close to 400 for 22, and then exceed $500,000 in 2023 when those 3 new buildings come fully online for value purposes. So in terms of the cash flow, On the revenue side, we have the tax increments, some miscellaneous revenues. So really the tax increments are our primary source of revenue. As far as the expenditures, the green circles that you see correspond to the development agreement between the village and CABA, basically a flow of funds that shows how the monies, as they come in annually, are used in order of precedence. So on the expenditure side, the first thing that occurs is any village administrative expenses are paid. These are fairly de minimis amounts. Secondly, the village's debt service is paid. This bond here refinanced the original note that was taken out in 2015 to pay for the public infrastructure to make the park developable. After the debt service is satisfied, there is a reimbursement of any shortfalls if the village had to spend monies to cover any sort of a cash flow shortfall that has not occurred. Fourthly, to reimburse a one-time village advance that was made last year. So there was relocation incentives to two of the businesses occupying the park, totaling $250,000. The village paid that from its general fund, and in this calendar year is reimbursing itself from the TID for that expense previously incurred. The fifth set of expenditures is a contingency reserve, and that was allocated at $500,000 in the original development agreement. The village has between last year and this year expended that $500,000 as a contribution towards the cost of water treatment within the park. That will not cover the full cost of that. The balance will need to be paid from other sources, but that money was provided for and is coming out of the tax increment district. Once those are paid, monies accumulate in the TID fund balance over here. It's referred to in the agreement as a debt service shortfall reserve. And essentially that has to build to the point where there are enough monies in it that it will allow the village to prepay its debt service. But what you'll see on the debt service is in the year 2031, we are currently projecting that based again on no further development, assuming that depreciation and value factor, that we would have accumulated enough money in the fund balance to redeem the village's bonds and pay those off. Once that occurs, then any remaining funds will flow to a pay-as-you-go note that was provided to CABA. CABA initially invested $3 million in the park, $1.4 million for land acquisition. That's not reflected in the TID cash flow that was done outside of the TID. And then the remaining $1.6 million was provided as an infrastructure contribution to the village. In reality, most of that money was not actually needed for infrastructure. And the village, in an amendment to the development agreement, has recently paid out some of those dollars that were remaining in the fund balance to help provide incentives to the new prospects and tenants that have come into the park more recently. That original 1.6 million note has been accruing interest at 4% annually. So based on that accrued interest, we at this point don't expect to be able to pay off that note in full. But by the final year of the tax increment district, CABA would have recovered about 2.6 million of principal and the interest on that before the TID would close. And again, if if there's additional development, the valuations increase, we don't see the level of depreciation we're forecasting, those monies will essentially all flow to CABA up into the point that pay-as-you-go note is fully satisfied. So overall, the TID is looking in great shape. As noted, the projections clearly indicate that the village's debt service will be able to be not only paid off, but paid off early, and that there will be, if not a entire return of CABA's investment in the project, at least a significant return on that original investment into this development. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the members may have.
I have a question. The 250,000 reimbursement to the village, is that shown in the revenues at any point? I know that you say it was paid out of the general fund, but it was paid for the TIF district. Is it shown as a revenue?
It is not. It was originally characterized in the amendment to the development agreement as a advance to the TID, but the way the village actually booked it, they just expensed it out of the general fund. So this in reality is really just a transfer out.
Any other questions? Any other questions? None with that? All right, Todd. Then we just need to approve the resolution acknowledging filing for the annual report in compliance with the annual meeting requirement. Is there a motion to do so?
Make that motion.
A motion, okay, a motion was made by Vicky Galich to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And seconded by Patty Merrill. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, any against with that? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Vicky
I'll second.
and seconded by Patty. So we are now adjourned. Thank you all. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion's approved and we are now adjourned. Thank you for attending Zoom, and Todd, thank you for the great report.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.